Hello everyone, I'm back at it again, and I thought we'd do something a little different today. I want to talk about what makes a good fishing pond. Around me, I find that I have to hit about 4 new ponds to find one good one. You know, that ratio varies depending on where I am in New England. It could be as high as 1 out of 2, and it could be as low as maybe 1 out of 10. But around me, it's about 1 in 4. And the number one thing I'm looking for, as you can see on this map, is access and parking. Some access is only good for a kayak. Some places you can fit a crawdad on the back of your pickup or a boat on a trailer. And other places you need a boat cart just to get to the water, even with a kayak. So the first thing is access and parking. And this place is a state park, so the access is excellent. The parking's a little messy right now because they're doing some construction. But I found a place to put my truck. And I'm not sure after they're done with construction if there'll be access for the crawdad or it'll be kayak only. Some places when they improve access, quote unquote, they put big boulders where you used to be able to back up a truck or something and launch a tin rig on a trailer. Yeah, and I guess that's to keep jet skis out and other fast-moving craft. So we'll see when they're done with construction what kind of access there is. But the kayak was no problem. Plenty of places along this road here to put a kayak in. And what I'm doing right now is I'm fishing bass lures. That happens to be a Rapala OG Slim 6. It's a good flat-sided crank for this time of year. This is about mid-November when this was filmed. Water is definitely cooling off. Air temps are cooling off. But I wasn't having any luck on the bass gear. So I'm going to paddle to shore, jump out of the kayak, and get my panfish gear. Got my bass gear out of the kayak. I'm all loaded up for panfish. This time of year, it doesn't bother me too much that the bass aren't too hungry. We had freezing rain and sleet. I was checking to see if the camera was rolling there, but we had freezing rain and sleet the other day, and the water temperatures dropped off sharply. Air temperatures did too, but the bass might be a little slow today. But what I'm really looking for in a new pond is good growth rates of the fish. And it doesn't really matter to me what fish I'm catching as long as they are of large average size. If I can see a lot of bait, that's another plus. Or I know there's a herring run or the pond has herring in it, that's another big plus. I'm really just looking for anything that would indicate that growth rates would be above average. And that seems to hold true for most of the fish in the pond. I can only think of a handful of ponds where, maybe it's a good crappie pond and the rest of the fish are kind of average or below average. But for the most part, if you find above average size fish, all of them tend to be fairly large or in good condition, let's say. And I've got my first fish. That was a sunfish that ate a shad fries on my little ultralight rod there. But that sunfish was only, I'd call it like a small to medium size fish. And that's not really what I'm looking for. I'm looking for larger than average fish, but that was only the first fish. Let's see what the second fish looks like. He's about the same. Maybe a little better, maybe a medium-sized fish. But that's not really what I'm looking for. Now, if you wanted to just go to a pond and have a ball catching bluegill, with a little kid or something, this would be a great spot to do that. You know, you could have you could make a little competition out of it. You know, first to 50 gets to get ice cream, and I don't know, you both get ice cream in the end, so it's not really a competition. But I mean, the point is, you could have a ball here in the summer, catching bluegill one after another. I'm just trying to get back up on my spot here. I'm paddling backwards kind of lazily, and I'm trolling just to see if I can find a school of sunfish going backwards. And I hooked one. It seemed like I only could find bluegill and small bass at this pond. There could be other species, but I didn't really run into them. Just on the looks of it, I would guess it had some pickerel, but the pickerel left me alone today, which for me is kind of a bonus. They tend to be a menace around me, and they're especially hard when you're fishing ultralight rigs because they cut through light line like butter. Just like it wasn't even there. It's like setting the hook into a pair of scissors. What I'm doing is slow rolling that shad fries. So I cast out, let it sink down. The shad fries is a little Z-Man micro swim bait. I wasn't too impressed with it when I first saw it, but in the water, it has a very subtle kick, and the fish seem to absolutely love it. So it's become one of my favorite lures. And that is a little skinny bass. That's not what I want to see. He's small, and he's skinny. And, you know, even the little ones, if a pond is very fertile and has good growth rates, even the little ones will be in better condition than that bass. So, even though my bass gear didn't work out on this trip, I switched rods, got the ultralight out, and I'm learning more about the pond. I'm learning it has a lot of bluegill, but the bass that I did catch were, you know, long and skinny and smaller than they should have been for their size. So the picture I'm putting together in my head is, this is a pond that I would probably not come back to. And that's important. That's important information to figure out. And like I said, it takes me about 4 ponds to find one good one. And if I can eliminate 3, usually my 4th one ends up being a pretty good one. And there's nothing wrong with these sunfish. They're okay. They're just kind of like a medium-sized sunfish. I'm catching them one after another here. As long as I have the wind, I do pretty well with that little swim bait, just slow rolling it in. Once the wind dies out, I have to switch to some other stuff to catch them. But that's not really the point of this video. The point is just trying to break down new water. What makes a good pond? The other thing I noticed about this pond is that it kind of smelled like sewage. Not strongly, but just a little bit. And to me, that's not a great sign either. It doesn't seem like it's a very healthy pond. You know, usually if I go to a pond and it smells like bait fish, that's a good sign. They kind of smell a little like watermelon. Yeah, it's a unique smell. But this didn't have that. So that's another reason I probably won't be coming back. And it's not because there's no fish in it. There's plenty of fish. They're just not the kind I really want to catch. It's another sunfish. That shad fries is just deadly. Cast it out, let it sink a little bit, and then slow roll it in. I'm reeling just a little bit faster than I should. It's interesting you know, watching myself on camera, I pick up things that, you know, I don't even notice when I'm doing them, but I'm reeling a little bit too fast. It works better on a slow roll. If you reel too fast, the bait tends to rise up, and that's not really what I want this time of year. It's a nice setting, but it has a like a cut through road that they put in the middle of the park. So there's constant traffic going by the pond. Now that helps with access, but it's not the most scenic because everybody seems to use that cut through to avoid going around the park. There he is. Another sunfish. They seem like they're all about the same size, kind of a medium-sized bluegill sunfish. I didn't even catch any pumpkin seeds or crappie or yellow perch or white perch. It just seemed to be all bluegill. The wind died out a little bit, so I picked up the custom ultralight rod that I built with Z-Man larvas. I worked that with short little hops and pauses, so it's just a little bit more subtle than the shad fries. But you can see the progression I'm doing. I went from bass gear, crankbaits, I tried jerk baits, tried a bunch of different things. I tried the mini max, and the bass either weren't there or weren't into it. And then I went to the ultralight, something fairly aggressive with the micro swim bait, and now I'm slowing down as the wind drops down. And the wind dropped even a little bit more, and then of course it picked up again, but I switched to a float and an ice jig, and I put that jig pretty far down, maybe 4 or 5 feet down. I think this was my first cast with it, just to see if I could get anything else besides the bluegill. And of course I caught another one of those medium bluegill. That ice jig hooks him pretty well. It was stuck there for a second. I'm fishing the kind of the edge of where the wind stops. Watching that float. If they're not very aggressive, this is a great way to catch them. Just reeling up my slack. The wind's pushing me towards the float a little bit. When the float goes down and reel into them, it's another medium bluegill. Yeah, so by now I kind of have a good idea what's in this pond. And for me, it's a pond that I'm not going to be coming back to anytime soon. It'd be a great pond to take a kid fishing. I actually saw a dad with his son fishing from the bank. I don't know how well they did, but it's a great spot for that. Easy access, plenty of parking, lots of bluegill. You could have a ball at a place like this. But for me, just didn't have the kind of fish that I want. And I'll be crossing this one off the list and off to my next pond. So I hope this was helpful. I know it's a little bit of a kind of a different video. But thank you all for watching. I'll put all the gear in the video description so you can, you know, go to your local pond and catch the heck out of bluegill like I did today. Thanks again. I'll catch you on the next one. See ya.